scary things in life aren't the ghosts and the monsters and the spooky stuff that we've been raised to believe.
The Epstein cover-up is disgusting. Some ordinary gamers.
I actually genuinely believe the scariest things are what human beings are absolutely able to do to each other.
I've never seen a video from this person.
Now, this is an island known as Little St. James. It's a cute name, but there are other names for this island too. Those names involve the Island of Sin, Orgy Island, or more commonly known as Epstein Island. Now, on this island, there was hundreds, from what I understand, about 1,000-something victims. A lot of those victims apparently seem to be minors. Now, these kind of stories circulated for quite a long time. Now, Epstein is not somebody that, just started getting investigated, I would say a few years ago. This is back in 2008 when he literally had pleaded guilty in a felony solicitation and procuring a person under the age of 18 for some bad activities. So it's not like this is his first time on the rodeo. For a long time, this man has been investigated for some of the most heinous crimes in human history. And of course, it wasn't until much later when he was jailed in a federal correctional holding facility in Manhattan that he ended up, allegedly, I guess, taking his own life. I say
Yeah, and remember that Donald Trump only banned Epstein after Epstein went after Trump's guest. So Trump kept Epstein around until the absolute final moment. He protected Epstein.
Allegedly, because honestly, I just don't know what to believe anymore. This might be one of the most insane cover-ups that I've seen in quite a long time. So let's get kind of started over here. There's a lot of other cases.
Epstein went after one of Trump's guest's daughters, I'm pretty sure, and that's why he ended up banning Epstein.
We're going to be drawing into this just as parallels, but I want to kind of focus on Epstein right now. So a few days ago, I made a video where we kind of looked at Epstein and apparently how the FBI has said that he doesn't really have a client list, even though earlier this year, they literally had the top cop in the country, Pam Bondi, going, I'm looking at it on my desk. Now, of course, I guess it's kind of retconned a little bit, where apparently that just included all of the filings on her desk.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file,
That's so
along
cringe.
with the JFK, MLK files as well.
Even though everyone's kind of always talked about this list, and I want to just preface this by saying I'm not somebody that gets hung up on the labels. Even if it's not a client list, it's definitely got to be a list or register or at least something that involves the names of other high-power global elites that have kind of been caught in the dragnet of Jeffrey Epstein. There's people like Bill Gates who's actually gone through a divorce. One of those reasons for that divorce was the fact that he was so close to a guy like Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, if you were anybody who was of significance and you had your photo taken anywhere near the Epstein-like group...
yeah, when you have a lot of intertwining in the finance sector, in intelligence, and you can be involved with Epstein, and the money that he was managing was funneled into this operation with the trafficking. So even if you're not involved in the trafficking or the abuse, you could be funding it. You can be involved in work that leads to unethical practices. Even if, for example, Bill Gates was not the person, he was not the person partaking in the activities, he could have been doing another immoral thing.
You would probably be mocked and investigated and scrutinized, I would say rightfully
Which is
so,
true for
by
a lot of
people just because of your affiliation.
fair.
Now, I'm not somebody that thinks that just because you talked to Jeffrey at some point, you're all evil. This guy
True,
was so
yeah.
big and
That's
so
what I meant.
connected that guaranteed if you were in that billionaires list, you probably shook hands or at least knew who he was just
Yeah.
because of how he was connected to a lot of mutuals around you. He's that one guy that everyone seemed to have known. And because he was that one guy, he got to get away with so many of these heinous crimes for so long until, of course, the entire gate burst wide open. So we have to understand something. The Epstein information is important. The Epstein disclosure stuff is important for everyone in the world because remember, this is somebody that's connected to some of the most high-power global elites everywhere. We're not just talking about American elites. We're talking about Canadian elites. We're talking about Europeans. We're talking about Indians. We're talking about Japanese people. We're talking about everyone. We're talking about some of the biggest people in the world have been interconnected with this guy in some way or another, right? There are billionaires from all over the world that obviously dictate how our lives are run on a daily basis. So anytime we can see some justice done to people that treat human beings like actual cattle, I'm not joking, like actual cattle these people are
They treat immigrants like that easily in America, and they don't care. So it's not surprising they would do this for other people. And Trump talked about having sex with his own daughter and all that kind of stuff.
Remember, to people like Epstein and some of these billionaires, the alleged abuse that had occurred to about 1,000 people, maybe more.
Not that he did it, but that he wanted to. Okay, Trump wanted to do that.
These people were treated like, again, just
he thought his one-year-old daughter had
literal,
his mother's, had their
They weren't
mother's
treated
legs.
as individuals that had gone through a summation of entire life. These are people that were literally treated like, again, cattle. They were treated like animals at this point. They were used, abused, and thrown around. And obviously, this is not something that should be tolerated in any civilized fucking society. And I think everyone, no matter who you are, bar can get together and agree and say that's wrong. So when we see some level of semblance of justice, especially delivered by the most justice-jerking country in the world, the United States of America, we expect there to be something done. There's kind of an...
Yeah, I mean, you can't be surprised, though, when Donald Trump is above the law in every single way, when he's a sex pest 100%, when he's held liable for sexual abuse legally, he bragged about it, he's on tape bragging about it, and people just decide they don't care. You can't pick and choose when to care about this stuff when it's your favorite person doing it. And Trump said Epstein's his best friend, and Epstein said that about Trump. So, and it was a long time when they were best friends. You think Trump did not engage at all or know about this?
Innate belief. It might be naivete if you want to touch it upon like that. But people will think that, hey, it's America, it's the FBI. Of course, they want to seek things like justice. Unfortunately, justice really wasn't delivered, and this is where the cover-up kind of comes from. So a few days ago, this clip from Trump, where they were being questioned about this, he comes out and says this.
Ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency? The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of Saturday?
Yeah, sure. If
Hey,
I could...
could I just interrupt for
Sure.
1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have...
Oh man, the tone. I can't get over the tone of this. The tone is so, it's like a comedy skit. Like, can you believe we're still talking about this? No one even cares. No one cares. Move on. It's so unconvincing. Even for Trump standards, he's a good liar. He's a great liar. And here, he seems so nervous.
This, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is...
And didn't Trump float the idea of pardoning P. Diddy, Ghislaine Maxwell? They dropped all the investigations on that Prince, was it Prince Andrew, right? So, I mean, Trump is doing a full cover-up.
Do you want to waste the time? And do you feel like answering?
It's a
I
waste
don't
of
mind
time.
answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein.
I can't
at a time
believe,
like
how
this,
dare
but
you.
with having some of the greatest
can't believe it.
success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
So, I don't know, this to me looks like a bit of deflection, and especially coming from a president whose campaigning was based around, again, talking about this Epstein stuff. So, a lot of people in the media, all right, obviously people who are covering this, looked back at some of the stuff said. So back on June 2nd, 2024, on Fox and Friends, one host, Rachel Campos Duffy, asks, would you declassify the Epstein files? To which Donald Trump goes, yeah, I would. I guess I would. I think that less so because you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if there's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff in that whole world. So, yeah, I guess he's saying, I would, as long as there's not, mischaracterizations in there, which would be a little weird. Like, okay, hold on a minute, you want to declassify his files.
Someone said Epstein would be in Trump's cabinet if he never got busted. 100% true. 100% true. If Epstein got a chance to go on podcasts, people would say what he did is okay. Like Andrew Tate and what Donald Trump has done and all these different guys. Conor McGregor, all right? If you go on alpha male podcasts, the entire world is going to forgive you because there's no shame. There's no shame.
I think it's interesting to see what the bad guys are saying about the other elites they're working with. I think everyone wants to see that, right? That's the kind of we don't want partial list released where some names are blacked or redacted. We want to see the whole thing. We want to see his relationship to everyone, even if that means somebody like Donald Trump, right? We want to see these connections. So in a podcast with Lex Friedman, he goes, yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it. Even J.D. Vance, to a podcaster known as Theo Vaughn, goes, seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing. Again, you guys are working in the federal government. You guys
No, I'm thinking, and obviously
have access to information.
Yeah, you can talk about conspiracies until you're in power, and Trump and J.D. Vance and all these guys are used to just lying about things. So they may have just said like, we're just gonna keep on lying until the end of time, and eventually they're gonna get bored of it and talk about other issues. They think their base is stupid because they largely have proven to be. The MAGA Trump base believes anything. So maybe they just got too high in their own supply and flew like too close to the sun maybe, and now they want to retract their position here and pretend like, oh, who cares about Epstein anyway? Because they realize, holy shit, they actually care about this a little bit.
that
Maybe.
we do not have access to. And again, I made this evident fact, when I talked about this last time, because again, when these people say something like an Epstein list, as JD Vance had said, obviously these are individuals that know about this stuff more than the average person. They work in the Department of Justice, they have close ties to it, they're able to access privileged information. It's why attorney generals like Pam Bondi, if they say things like Epstein lists, if they say things like client lists, it has more of a weight than a journalist, than you and I, than any other random civilian, because these people just have access to more information. It's understood that they have access to more information. It's why we fucking believed this farce for the longest time, because this was the big federal government guys talking about this. Even on Joe Rogan, the FBI director, Kash Patel, was asked, the narrative has always been that there's video. Now, where's the chain of custody? Is there evidence that there's video? Is there evidence that it was moved around, stored, protected from people looking at it? To which Kash Patel goes, you're going to get all that information. Like, that's literally what we're putting together. And we're going to give you every single thing we have and can. And that's the whole point. Now we're figuring out how to put it out. Now, obviously, this is a stark contrast from there is no client list, okay? Guys, we need you to forget about it. Now, I don't know, the other day, Trump was talking about tariffs and everything to Canada and the European Union again, to which, honestly, I don't care. Either fucking do the tariffs or don't fucking do the tariffs, all right? Don't stop. Quit jerking us around. And especially when it's market close, just be honest. We're talking about these tariffs. We're talking about all these other things because the government wants to completely misdirect from this.
True, misdirection is a big point. And by the way, there were two candidates this election, all right? One was best friends with Epstein and pretty good friends with a P. Diddy. All right. One was good friends with them. One candidate was not good friends with them. Now, they called one candidate friends with them and the P. Diddy candidate. It's funny they called Kamala Harris that because Donald Trump is the definition of the P. Diddy candidate, of the Epstein candidate. And we've said that a few times now, but Trumpers, of course, they'll believe anything. Shingle, car keys, get a cat, laser pointer type of deal. Put the laser pointer against the wall, they'll go run after it. Shiny objects, bro.
Epstein nonsense, which is not nonsense. It's one of the biggest promises, and we're slowly being gaslit into believing that apparently it's just not that big of a deal. Why are people still talking about this creep? It's because this creep was connected to some of the most high-profile people in the world. People that dictate how you and I get to live.
It was gonna
now,
come
the
out.
infamous jail...
You can even say there's some intel that should not get out, okay? And it would be a national security concern or whatever else. There could be reasonable arguments there, by the way. There could be real arguments for not doing that. For not releasing every single transaction ever made by Epstein or someone that he knows, because that would involve pretty much every single person that's in power in every country. And it does not mean those people have done abuse, They may have funded it, which is probably what Bill Gates kind of knew he was involved in, something, bad, maybe not knowing how far it would go or how far it was going, or who knows how much they know. But you can make that argument. And you can make the argument of laws and what information should be kept confidential and blah, blah, blah. But Republicans said Trump is different. Trump is this guy. He's going to go in and turn the FBI building into a museum. And it's going to be all, the deep state is going to fall apart. And now guess what? Trump, I'm happy he's doing it. I'll give him credit. He's going to apparently tomorrow announce a huge shipment of weapons to Ukraine to bomb Russia. And I'm glad about that. Good job, It's not, it's by accident he's falling into that position. But I'm happy to see that's happening. But who knows? I thought Trump was against wars and bombing Iran and bombing Iraq. Like, it's just like, you got to have some principles to stand on other than just worshiping Donald Trump.
Footage that I wanted to retouch upon again was actually investigated forensically, and there were some discrepancies here. So, for instance, in this footage, around 11:58, there is apparently an entire minute missing. In fact, that looks to be an entire jump cut. Now, the thing about it is, according to according to Pam Bondi, I believe, it was because that the systems involved around this jail footage had to be reset, it was just some quick reset or re-recording, you had to end the recording, start something brand new, or something of that nature, right? It was a technical reason for what this had occurred. But this is where things get a little bit more laughable. Now, if you want to forensically investigate this footage, well, let's download it directly from the government. So in this FBI memo, and again, I'm going to show you how to do this just literally by yourself. So this is justice.gov/OPA media and whatnot. So as part of our commitment to transparency, the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have conducted an exhaustive review of investigative holdings relating to Jeffrey Epstein. To ensure that the review was thorough, the FBI conducted digital searches of its database, hard drive, and network drives, as well as physical searches of squad areas, locked cabinets, desks, closets, and other areas where responsive material. So again, this is all just shit that they want to tell you. Let's scroll all the way down to where the FBI enhanced the relevant footage by increasing its contrast, balancing the color, and improving its sharpness for greater clarity and viewability. The full
weird.
raw and enhanced videos are available at the following links. So here they provided video file 1 and video file 2. So you see how in there they say the full raw and enhanced videos. They actually gave you the full raw and the enhanced video. Now, in this implication, the full raw means you just grabbed the MP4s or the video files from the fucking actual security system and threw them online, right? Because that's all I give a shit about. Obviously, I don't give a shit about video file 2, assuming that's the enhanced version, because I don't want to see anything touched upon and edited. So if you play video 1, for instance, you can see right here in the beginning, it's a little bit dull. Video 2, they actually did increase the saturation, contrast, and whatnot, okay? So I don't care about the edited version. The edited version means fuck and all to me. What I want to see is the actual original version.
From the original.
So I downloaded the original version, as you can see right here, video 1. It's a full 19.5 gigabytes. So here's how you do a quick analysis or a quick check forensically. Now, this isn't like entirely like crazy. It's not like I'm using, police forensic tools. But for instance, if we go into, the Linux terminal, and again, this could be Windows, Mac, or anything, download a tool known as EXIF tool. And again, all you have to do is navigate yourself to that download folders. And I'm doing it just to show you what this looks like. So in video 1, hitting enter, you see all this information. So let's kind of read it through, okay? So this is video 1. Now, I have not modified it in any way, shape, or form. You can see that, obviously, the XMP toolkit, it has Adobe thrown into it. Adobe Media Encoder 2024. You can see exactly when it was made.
Adobe. Someone said Trump has never done anything right and on his own. No. I mean, every single time Trump does something stupid, they blame someone else. They blame Hegseth, they blame Pam Bondi, they blame Kash Patel. Name one time Trump messed up and they blame Trump. You believe he's a god king. And also, even without Epstein being involved at all, Donald Trump is a predator. Through and through. With Epstein, if Epstein did not exist, Trump, with our public knowledge, is a predator that preys on younger, both children, teenagers, and young adults. Okay, he is known to do that. He's made extremely crazy comments in that direction. He tried forcing his young daughter to get breast implants. All right, he commented on his 1-year-old daughter having nice, sexy legs and nice breasts, and his 14-year-old daughter having a voluptuous frame. Like, he is a pest. He should freak you out regardless of Epstein or not. The Epstein is just another layer onto it.
When it was modified, when the metadata was created. So immediately right here, it wasn't from the actual security system, unless the security system is...
Yeah, drop a like on the subscribe. Drop a like and subscribe, please, for the algorithm. I'll take some phone calls in 10 minutes if you want to call in.
Fucking using Adobe. This shit was edited in a video editing software. You can figure it out yourself. Throw something into Adobe, export it, compare the EXIF information. It will have these similarities. So again, let's go down a little bit and see just what's kind of happening. So in the...
And someone commented, Harris sucked D to get to the top. Should creep you out. See, right there, you are passing over a predator preying upon children, okay, because you want to be sexist to Kamala Harris. And that's what it is. Obviously. If you think Trump's comments about women are cool and his connection to Epstein is cool, but you draw the line at Kamala Harris being a woman, and you want to say, oh, she slept right to the top, you are the definition of a shitbag.
Ingredients right over here, the ingredients document ID, it was important to kind of spot it here because according to the ingredients, it may have appeared that 2 separate files were kind of slapped together. So again, kind of a shady situation. Really doesn't look like the full raw the government gave us. In fact, you can even go and see the project path. So somebody, MJ Cole, was used. This is the account name on the computer this was exported on, and MCC4 was the project name for that file. So what have we learned here, ladies and gentlemen, is that the government couldn't even cover...
The guy who said Kamala Harris sucked D to get to the top said, do not use ad hominem, dude. He said, don't use ad hominem, bro.
Up the fucking metadata for the raw video they provided.
What a weenie.
Now again, I don't know what the government might have cut or removed from this entire situation. I don't know what they may have modified. They may not even have digitally modified anything. But what I do know is this is, in fact, a bit of a lie, okay? And any way you spin this around, look, I've worked with video long enough to know what you can and cannot do in a video editor. And the fact that they release this as raw footage, but it is verifiably thrown into a video editing software and exported through Media Encoder is if there was a red flag in the fucking room, it would be redder than me right now. That's how insane this is. And again, there's a lot of people that love to defend the shit out of their governments. A lot of people treat politicians like they're fucking gods or something. And the reality of this is this, okay? These people are rich, powerful. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican or a third party, or it doesn't matter where you are. Once you're in that elite circle, once you're as big as the Clintons or the Trumps or whatever, you are in a different echelon, okay? You are in a different plane of existence. You are treated far differently than the rest of the human beings out there. And I'll touch upon this a little bit by the time we get to the end. But this case, the protection of the elites makes sense because the elites don't want their entire power to crumble. They don't want to lose what they have. And again, these people have the ability to obfuscate and get rid of anything they want. Remember, there are different rules when it comes to law. You and I interface with the law and the enforcement of the law in a far different manner than people like Trump or people like Clinton or anybody. Okay, it doesn't matter what your ideologies or your political beliefs are. You live in a world where you're either an elite or you're not an elite. Okay, so the people at the bottom better stick together instead of being constantly divided, because these people benefit every single day as long as there is division at the bottom. But anyways,
Why did Obama or Biden not drop the list? Okay, you said the talking point wrong, but they could have reasons to not do it. I mean, you can make arguments for it. You can make arguments, but Trump won the presidency by weaponizing the topic of child abuse. Okay, he won the presidency by doing that. He said he's gonna reveal the deep state, blah blah blah, and that's why we should accept a shit economic policy. A shit economic policy. We should accept all this shitty presidency, every single shitty aspect, because he is anti-deep state, anti-establishment, anti-war. All right, he ran on those things, and you guys are the hypocrites. You guys are the idiots. You guys are the dumbasses who have goldfish memory from his first term. It's really just sad for you. It's really sad for you.
Ran aside, let's get back to the whole Epstein cover-up. So obviously, in this entire situation, the deputy director and even the deputy director being Dan Bongino and the director being Kash Patel, have
I mean, Donald Trump said they're not real, but they are real. If they are real, then Obama wrote them. Hillary Clinton wrote them, of course. She was not president, but
apparently wanted to leave the entire federal government simply because of how mishandled this was. This was the party that constantly wanted to, quote unquote, drain the swamp, right? And I'm somebody that's totally cool with draining the swamp. I think it's great to see, the deep state, or seeing like a lot of people who, think that they're above the law, not actually be above the law. But it seems like that isn't how it's handled. And look, I'm not an American, but I sure as shit pay enough money to the Internal Revenue Service where I think I have a reasonable ask to say, how is the FBI even spending my money? Are they actually, chasing for justice? No, apparently as of like what?
They're going after political opponents that are saying anti-Israel sentiment and anti-American sentiment, and they're tracking Donald Trump's political enemies, and they're going after they're going after American patriots, and they're going after immigrants. All right, they're trying to brutalize immigrants. They don't want to go after criminals. They do not want to go after criminals, dude. They do not want to do that. They don't care. They do not care.
Literally yesterday, they're so focused on going after ROM sites at this point that again, everything is being done right now to divert attention away from this cover-up disaster, and nobody should be diverting their attention away. I think this should be a huge sticking point, especially if you're an American, because remember, this guy was a real evil fuck, and who knows how deep his hooks went into. Who was compromised? I think you, as a citizen, have a right to know how compromised your government
compromised
is. Because
by
really,
like 50
it seems like the people that
countries.
wanted to drain the deep state actually really are just the fucking deep state, okay? And really, how couldn't they be? Especially considering some of these people were already at the top of their game. They are the global elites. You can't
People that said Donald Trump.
be friends with the global elites. Like I said, they live in a different world than you and I.
Yeah, people that said Donald Trump was not in the establishment is crazy. Now, it's true. It's very true. Trump was not a billionaire until like a few months ago off his corruption scandals in the White House using the presidency. He was never a billionaire, but he was an elite. Okay, he was an elite.
And even people
And
that
always
aren't
has
related into the government, the people that
But he's the worst kind of elite, honestly, because Trump is compromised from like Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, like so many different countries hold like every asset Donald Trump pretends he owns. So like they just got a call, and he has no choice but to listen. That's why you see like Syria having their sanctions removed if they give Trump a hotel. He's all transactional. It's all bullshit, mafia type business shit. Please drop a like and subscribe. If you have any phone calls, okay, if you have any phone calls you want to call into the show, please consider calling in. All right, you can call the phone number up
are
top.
very connected because they found a way in, right? Like Elon Musk through, platforms like Doge, for instance. When Elon Musk goes out and tweets the words, "Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT."
If I don't get any phone calls, by the way, I actually don't know what the play is for Musk, by the way. I'm not sure what the play is anymore for Musk. It's really confusing. Unless if, like, I see Tucker Carlson speaking out against Trump a little bit. I don't know if, it does make sense in terms of Trump wants to bomb Russia again. And, like, you see Tucker Carlson and Elon Musk turning against Donald Trump. And those are people we know to be paid off by Russia. So I'm not sure what all the interplay is there. Like, I don't know if Israel is influencing with like the Iran situation and obviously being anti-Iran and Russia. I'm not sure what the influence is there, but there's probably a reason why all the pro-Russian media pundits like Tucker and all these different guys, why they are so aggressive right now, calling out the Epstein stuff. Like they want to knock Trump down a peg. And Trump's shit-talking Putin publicly. So it seems like there's a really interesting foreign policy thing going on here. Whatever it might be.
Again, either this guy has seen something, which I wouldn't doubt. It's Elon Musk. This guy has been in bed with the government for quite a few months. Okay, now things have probably soured, but what if he has seen something? You know, it leads me to believe that obviously for these elites, this is just a fucking joke, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Human suffering doesn't matter to these people. It's just a little bit of a leverage point to use against somebody when it's convenient. Because here's the thing, either this guy's name was in the files and he's just holding on to it, or they weren't in the files and this whole thing is treated like a joke, when in reality, it shouldn't be treated as a joke. This should be cause for a fucking revolution, okay? But I'm not going to go that far into my video because, again, I'm just...
A revolution, crazy. The cause for a revolution is probably the security state being built with AI right now, Skynet. That's probably the cause for revolution if there is one. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. Check out this video on Some Ordinary Gamers YouTube channel, huge channel. You probably know who it is, but I'm not stealing content. I'm adding transformative commentary. So please